Good evening and welcome back to the Fail Breakdown channel. It's Tuesday the 20th of January 2026. Got Manunk here with me again today, and we're going to be looking at a couple of different fail breakdowns, two different entries, and a fail breakdown retest of the 6867. So I took the initial entry a little higher than I would have liked. It wasn't up early enough, and he took the retest. So and we're going to discuss a little bit about FBD retests, how to look at those, how to trade them when it's a good time to trade them, and when some cautions to watch out for. We're also going to touch on the 6890 fail breakdown that happened a little bit later on, and how to think about trading fail breakdowns of higher levels when you're 40 points off the low. Those can be a little bit intimidating, but if you just follow Adam's system, apply the rules, you can trade those perfectly successfully, which we did get a nice couple of levels out of that trade later on as well. Actually recorded my execution of that one live, so I'll tag that on to the end of the video. As always, we're just doing our best to relay the method taught by Adam Mancini. Neither of us are experts, so defer to him in the newsletter later tonight for the proper breakdown of these trades. The charts. So all right, just dragging in the charts here. We've got 4 hour on the left, so obviously huge gap down into Sunday, lost the bull flag, which is the blue line here. We'll just maybe mention a couple of trades off Sunday night. It will be really interesting to see in the recap how Adam traded the 69.23 level, if he was able to get a couple of trims. A number of us traded that in the Discord. But if you held on to your runners there, that was one that trailed out in the evening session. And then on Monday, the holiday session, there was a nice fail breakdown of the overnight lows at 68.90, which again, a number of us traded, got a good few levels out of that one. So we'll be looking to the recap to see what he says about those, but I think they were fairly straightforward. So coming into Tuesday morning, obviously another big sell-off. We lost the Monday lows at 68.90, so that was going to be a key level. Prior to that, we'd failed to reclaim 69.13, so these are kind of the bull targets for the day. But we put in a big macro fail breakdown of the 68.67 level, which goes back to, what's the date on this? January 2nd lows. And so when I woke up in the morning, we were trading right around 68.70-ish. We put in some pretty decent acceptance of that. And so for me, it was kind of pretty straightforward. It was just a case of judging, were we too far above the level or not? So we dipped down to 47, back tested 67, dipped, worked on accepting, pushed through, dipped again, and then we were just lifting off. And so I decided to take the trade here at 68.73 and was able to get a couple of levels out of that. Fairly straightforward for me, but ultimately my runner trailed out on the wick down here, and that set up the next entry. So let's talk about that. This is the fail breakdown retest here. So this is coming into the pre-market in Eastern time. This was right around 8:30 Eastern time, so about an hour before the open. So we wicked under the level. Why don't you take over from here and talk through how you saw it?
Yeah. So, by the time I woke up, we already had price kind of floating much above 67, kind of into that resistance area, 87.90. So, I kind of had to wait, right? So if you have to wait, there's another way to kind of enter a failed breakdown, and we don't see this too often, but we do get it every once in a while. So it's good to see how to potentially enter these. And that is either, it's called a failed breakdown retest or a failed breakdown backtest. And that happens when, price runs up nicely off failed breakdown, and then we come back and test that original low. So not the new low that'd be all the way down here at 47, but the original failed breakdown low, which would be at 67. So, we kind of swept it at 8:30. I think seemed like there was some news related headline that flushed us below to 60 or so. And then reclaimed 67 pretty quickly by like 8:35. We'd kind of, made weight and now I kind of started to look for if we would kind of accept this area a little bit and if we would eventually be able to kind of show some demand and bounce off of it. So from 8:35 to about 8:45, we were kind of bouncing up and down that kind of 5 point danger zone between 67 and 72, just kind of back and forth, chopping in between. I kind of gave it a good 10, 15 minutes. And then, seeing that price was kind of holding, I decided to take the long. I think realistically, there's really no rush to long here. Really anywhere between, 8:45 and really 9:30 up until the open, we were kind of just really just chopping in that danger zone box. So, really you can enter whenever, or if really you wanted to wait till the open until we saw some momentum push, you could. It might be a little harder to get in and out off of that because it was such a strong push up. But really anytime I think, but after 8:45 until the open, you could have really just taken a stab there. Especially the stop just having below 60 also was kind of nice. So, it was kind of nice R to R, R and R here, in terms of how much you were risking or, the potential of what this failed breakdown back test could be. So, yeah, I took the trade there and kind of just let it ride. And, we kind of ripped on open here.
Yeah, so you got a nice couple of profit takes within those first few minutes off the open,
Yep.
and then we started dipping back. I suppose technically there was another failed breakdown. There was another retest, perfectly of the 67 level. I'm just going to bring in the manual that we've got in the Discord and kind of show some of the points in there because these don't get talked about. So I'm just bringing up that PDF to kind of talk through some of the points in here. I think the key point, we did mention that it did backtest again, but really for FBD retests, you only want to be taking them on that first retest. Then the other notes here, preferable if this was a range support, wasn't really a range support. And then this third point here, just be cautious of trading the FBD retest if it's occurring soon after the original FBD, as in like extremely high volatility. We put in a failed breakdown, it's ripped up a couple of levels, but it's come straight back down to it. That's just one of the points I've picked up on in the past. If it's ripping straight back down to that level very soon after, then chances are we may be heading lower. I think the key thing though, as far as like picking an entry, is trying to read the reaction, and that's kind of this statement here. So this could mean, price testing the level precisely and bouncing, or it could mean flushing it and recovering it, so showing demand. And obviously in this scenario, we flushed it and recovered. So this in itself is kind of the form of the second type of acceptance that's happening around the retest level. So,
Yeah, I think especially if you can kind of sweep it, it almost ends up being even better. Because it's kind of another kind of sweep, liquidity sweep of that level, right? One more time, right? At 8:30, you can kind of see clear wick down, sweeps that area once again, recovers back. So that's also nice to see. Sometimes you'll just see a straight, you hit that spot and see a quick kind of momentum bounce out of it. That's also, another way it can set up. So yeah, I think those two ways can set up. I did like the fact that we swept under it, and kind of were able to reclaim above kind of with some nice type two acceptance. I think one thing that's interesting to note is, I would still kind of pay attention to that 5 point danger zone even though the failed breakdown is active. I think it can still kind of serve as like a area to be careful of in terms of you don't want to rush in when its price is still in that spot a few points above the low. You still want to ensure price is holding a little bit or you're seeing some sort of momentum coming out of that.
yeah, and you can see all that danger zone is just that chop. So if you were able to, I mean, you had to be quick to get it right off the open. And that's one of those difficult situations where you can get a really poor
Mm-hmm.
fill if you're chasing that. But hopefully the momentum is still there to get a couple of levels out of it.
Yep.
Okay, so I think that's all for that level. The 6890, I've got a screen record of me executing this, so I won't dwell on it too much. I think the main point about this, I suppose the concern is that by the time we're recovering the 6890 low, we're 40 points off the lower day. So it can feel very shaky up here, but I mean, just follow the same principles. We've got a significant low that's been established from the Monday session. Got two nice bounces there, which we broke down. So this meets the criteria for a significant low. And then we work on acceptance of it in coming into the pre-market, come up to about 88, dip significantly, come back up to it. Looked like we were going to reclaim here at this point. Didn't, failed back down, but then we ripped back up with momentum, and that's what you're looking for, that huge move with
Yep.
momentum. So if I just drop down the time frames, and you can kind of see it here. I've just dropped down to the 3 minute here, and you can see it kind of working. Kept on returning, dipping, returning again, dipping, returning again. Didn't push through. I was stalking the entry at this point. Never got a trigger, and then we faded off. And actually, this is quite nice to see, is like get away from all the chop, get away from this sort of high density area, make a clean move down, and then a high momentum spike back up through. So I was able to take that trade from 91 then to 97 and 03 was where I got out, but ultimately my runner trailed out yet again. So I'm currently flat, maybe waiting on the 97 to see if that triggers later in the day. I mean, we do have the 61 right here, middle of the day. I've had two green trades, so I'm not particularly interested. But yeah, I'll tack on the live screen record from that trade. Anything else you want to close with?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, I think the biggest takeaway would just be, two ways to enter a failed breakdown, right? Either, you always try to, I think, get that initial entry, right? We all would love to get that initial entry if we can, but what happens if you're not able to? And usually sometimes you might have a potential back test or a failed breakdown retest you could try for. So, in today's case, that's kind of where I was in the kind of zone I had to fall into, was taking that. So, good review, because I don't think we, review those too often. But today was definitely a good chance to kind of review what to do in that case.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is reading the reaction, and that means one of two things: waiting it for it to test the level directly and bounce with some force, or waiting it for it to sweep the level and recover. And then you're looking at using the usual kind of acceptance price action around that zone to find your entry. But they're definitely trickier. They don't fill me with a huge amount of confidence. The fail breakdown retests always preferable to get in on the first reclaim. So okay, guys, any questions, put them down in the chat. I'm looking forward to reading the newsletter later tonight. There's probably a lot of trades he could cover. Probably too many to cover, but we will catch you guys in the Discord. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Okay, so I'm just watching this reclaim of the 6890 level here. I was watching it a little bit earlier. But nothing kind of triggered. But basically, it's been the major breakdown level. It was a significant low from Monday. Put in a couple of lows. We got that nice failed breakdown at 68.90, and then we lost the shelf last night. And then we worked on accepting it into the London session and then into the open here. And so we're just pushing back up with some great momentum. It's going to be a difficult level to trade. You can see a lot of the acceptance that has happened already here. This is right before the London Open. And then off the RTH, this is RTH open here. We've kind of tagged it a few times, dipped each time. So the acceptance of the level is starting to look pretty mature now at this point, and we've run up with some good momentum. It's slight concern as we now run up 20 points straight into it. I'm actually going to try the long here as we push through on this good delta and see if we can get a quick level to level move here. We're scrambling to get the screen record up and running in time on this one. So I've just put my orders in. By default, I just have a 6-point take profit, but I need to check what the next level up. I mean, this low around 96 is kind of the obvious one. So I was kind of scrambling to get into this trade, to be honest, and get it recorded. 68.97 is the next level up, which is right where I've got my order. So let's see if we can get a level to level move, but the acceptance has been great. Obviously we've had this straight run up. We had a tiny little blip here, but you're kind of asking quite a bit now for it to run 30 points up to the level and then a bit more to get that level to level move. But this is kind of what you like to see for the add-on strength trades like this. It's just that we're in a higher volatility regime, so we are dipping quite a bit further. Last time we back tested it, dipped down to the 67, which was our kind of major level from the failed breakdown this morning. Held there nicely and pushed through. So let's see if we can get up to 97. I was stalking it earlier at this point, and I thought I was recording it, but I didn't have the recorder on. It didn't trigger anyway, but I was kind of monitoring like this line here. Was hoping that we were gonna push up through at this point, but we never did. So that's taken my first profit target off at 97 there. See my orders coming in at 91, out at 97. This kind of momentum is what you want to see. The only downside was, as I say, it was just such a long leg up that definitely added quite a bit of risk. But given bulls had held the major level here at 67, the active failed breakdown that's kind of propelling and driving the market this morning. So this is the first win for bulls. At this 68.90 level, I would sort of expect a back test. But let's just see what happens. Okay, pretty happy with that. I know the live stream didn't come through very well this morning, but that was one of the trades we were mentioning on there. Obviously a lot more difficult, a lot more patience required. I think the key part of that was just the momentum as it pushed through and kept on going. And well, prior to that, the extensive acceptance we had, and then the momentum when we when we actually recovered the level. So that's 2 green trades for me today. I'm shutting things down. Just going to manage this runner. Being a little bit higher, well, being high up here, it's going to require a bit of management, but I'm happy to get that second trim there. So with that, we'll do a trade recap a little bit later and see you in the Discord.